I almost did. Welcome to our fourth. We are well now settled into the semester. Welcome, and now we're going to move to roll call. President Hall, Senior Vice President Bierman, Evening Vice President Padilla, President Voting Treasurer Smith, President Voting Chief Justice Davidson, Associate Justice Young.
Present.
I don't think it's unmuted. She unmuted, but it's
Present.
Arsenal. I have class in this room and it hasn't been working. Going on haywire.
It would, yeah.
Maybe
For us, it was the projector that wasn't working, the audio was kind of.
Okay, if you're on the there have been having a lot of tech issues in different classrooms. Okay, there we go. Perfect. If you're on Zoom, could you just if you're on Zoom, can you respond using chat? Also indicate your votes by raising your hand as you normally will, and we'll communicate that way. We'll be sure to leave the chat up so that we can see it if one of you say something, because currently we're having technical issues in the classroom with the audio in the system. Cool.
Do you want me to open the Zoom on my laptop so that you can hear them fine?
That's fine. We can just use the monitor, the chat for now. Associate Justice Campo Ayala. Present. Representative DeBacco.
Present voting.
Representative Putnam. Present voting. Representative Maroon.
Present and voting.
Representative Patel. Present voting. Representative Fuentes.
Present and voting.
Representative West.
Present voting.
Representative Jed.
Present voting.
Representative Heinke.
Present and voting.
Representative Hill. Present voting. Representative Hunt.
Present voting.
Representative Espinola Jimenez. Present and voting. Representative Ostrander. Present and voting. Representative Ideali. Representative Grunner.
Present voting.
Representative Sharp. Representative Williams. Representative De Los Santos. Okay, so that concludes roll call. And now we're gonna move on to the adoption of the minutes. I believe the minutes were sent out. The minutes from last meeting, the 10-4 meeting. If there are no objections, I'm just gonna motion to vote. Any objections?
Motion to vote.
All those in favor of adopting the minutes, please raise your hand. You may lower them. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, vote passes 18-0. Okay, great, so now we're gonna move from adoption of the minutes onto officer reports. We're gonna start with president's report. So just initial acknowledgements, the director of student services, Eric Lilly, has officially resigned from working with the school. He's no longer working here. Currently, Associate Dean Jackie Pilgrim is stepping in for the director of student services. So there shouldn't be any hiccups in communication with student services or anything like that. But if there are, that's your point of contact now. If you can't get in contact with Eric, that's why. Second was an update from last time. There were still some COVID concerns. I know that you all had asked that we could see if the deans would be open to having a policy similar to how we had last year with the notification of close contact transmission of COVID transmission. So we took that to the deans, and the response was that we're going to continue to follow by local guidelines. Currently, Boston Public Health doesn't require contact tracing because we're in the endemic, whatever that means. And so, and also the mechanism, I guess, that the school was using before to alert people is no longer available. So what they are recommending students use is Mass Notify, which is an app on your phone. You go on and you log in your information and you would self-report. And from the app, that app would then notify other people who are also on the app who have registered of if they're in close contact with that person, and keep that person anonymous. Thank you. Anonymity. And so that's the current policy that we have in place. COVID policies are also listed on the internet. If there are any other questions, you can reach out directly to the deans on that matter, but that's the current policy and they don't have any intention on changing it. As far as class attendance for professors, professors are not bound by the ABA guidelines. They're professors, they're staff here, whereas we have like certain amount of like classes that we have to attend for ABA guidelines, at least with the school's enforcement of those guidelines. So again, with COVID absences, if there's any issues, reach out to student services and they'll handle it on case by case basis. I reached out to the deans regarding the multicultural event where Jolsa and Melsa weren't acknowledged. So the response that was given to me was that the minority event was not for all affinity groups, but that the deans are absolutely willing to reach out to the groups directly to address any concerns that they may have been about having them left off. Like it wasn't an affinity group event to acknowledge all affinity groups. Not sure the specifics on that, as again, the multicultural event was not an SBA affiliate. Like it was done solely through administration, but they would plan to reach out directly. Okay, I just wanted to like bring that concern. The bribery concern. The school has a contract with bribery that the administration feels is preferential or preferable or favorable to our students. They have preferential treatment for tabling, but it's not exclusive. So other representatives from like Famous or Kaplan should still be able to table, but bribery will have like the pick of days or more days to table than others. if there are direct issues, you can contact coach or Professor Coulthard if you have any issues with that. He's the one who would have them. So to address with the administration that was tabled time concerns, but that will address as soon as possible is the intranet accessibility. Just changing the format on that so that policies, the calendar, etc., is just easier to access for students, or like people know where to go to get information that they need for their concerns. And UL therapy. In the dean's meeting, I'm also going to be doing a report for our state vice president, who's not currently here, but he did bring up the major religious holiday accommodation, and essentially what the dean said was that the number of absences that we have, like everyone has a designated amount of absences that they can miss based off of any of their particular classes. Those are what those absences would be for. So religious accommodate or major religious holidays, or not religious holidays that are observed by students that are not necessarily recognized by the school would be covered in those absences. If you're close to your 5 for some classes, 2 for others, dead like the what's it called? Limit. If you're close to the limit, then they will make accommodation on a case-by-case basis, similar to the COVID policy. You would just have to reach out to student services and let them know directly on what holiday you were celebrating, or what religious accommodation you needed, and they can work with you. As far as that goes, if you need a recording for the class, the recording policy is also available on internet, and you would have to reach out to your professors before. They used to have a blanket policy where every class was recorded and posted, but they said that they were watching on the backside. I guess you can see who was watching and for how long they were watching, and some people weren't coming. I thought they were just watching the recordings, and so now they have a basis where if you want your class recorded for whatever reason, you have to reach out directly to your professor. Especially if it's for a religious accommodation reason or for COVID, of course. And again, that policy is available on internet. And last 2 things for me, this week, I will be sending out a poll to all of you to plan for next semester. The semester is rapidly coming to an end, just in terms of setting GA meetings next semester, whether or not in person or Zoom would work. Please respond. You'll have like a day or so to respond. We're going to be setting the schedule, of course, next meeting soon. So they still probably will be in the evening, just because that's when classes work out. But we're going to try and pick the day where there's the least amount of class conflicts, and hopefully we'll get scheduled to you in time that you can work out any work conflicts that you may have, and make sure that any travel plans that you have aren't in conflict as well. And we'll try and accommodate we will accommodate spring down and other things that are happening for the school. And the last thing was a fun idea that some of the board and I have been discussing is the potential about doing an SBA award at the end of the year, where we would all like go to a restaurant or something and we would give out various awards, just fun awards based off of things that happen throughout the year, kind of to celebrate the end of our academic year and just going forward. It wouldn't be anything extremely fancy, like it's not going to be like the Ritz or anything, but more information come, but just want to put that general idea out there. So I will be at some point looking for help from at least one representative on that if we do get to planning on that. So just if you're interested, reach out to me and we'll see where we can go with that idea. That concludes the president and Deputy Vice President's report on. I yield my time to the Vice President.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I have a couple things. Firstly, the fundraising committee had their Ukraine fundraiser, and they raised about $500, which is about 18,000 in the Ukraine currency. So that's like a big deal. Very cool. Athletics has softball every Saturday at the Commons from 2 to 4. Equipment is provided. Yes.
This Saturday's the tournament though, so we will not be in the Commons.
Oh, where are you gonna be?
Playing in a tournament, the Battle of Boston.
Woo!
We're going for our 3-peat championship, by the way. We will be in Taunton, which is about an hour southwest of here. If anybody is actually still interested in playing in the softball tournament, I encourage you to please reach out to SBA Athletics ASAP.
Yeah. Also, also the Halloween party is this Friday at venue from 7 to 10. Tickets are free. There's still tickets available. You can bring guests. You guys should all go. I won the Halloween costume contest last year. So sorry, I'm gonna win again. You don't stand a chance. Word park class. So I had short hair and it just worked out perfectly. This year, I hope I win. Good luck to everybody. Go. Also, they sent out the emergency contact email today. You don't have to fill it out, but it is recommended if you do, that you should at least. Also, we taking it back to like the first GA meeting, when we talked about the school store pop-up idea. We're kind of getting that in the works again. We talked to Jennifer Kelly about making the store, and we just are trying to set up a meeting soon about logistics. She gave us a contact that has done this before and everything. So, and she sent me a flyer. It looks really nice. It looks really cool. I'm excited. So I hope that works out. Also, the yearbook committee is going full steam ahead. We are going through the applications now for chairs. So by the end of this week, it should be established. And I found a camera and a tripod, so that's cool. And then Ariella, she'd like to talk about fundraising and public service.
Hello. So Public Service Committee had our little fundraiser today for Massachusetts Film Congress. If you saw me in the wild, thank you so very much. I'm still counting, but we raised around $100. We did not get a blue bag full of Halloween, and we would like one. I will be carrying them around for the rest of the week. They're very cute.
I ate 2 of them, but
Writing Google on plastic bags turned out to be much more time consuming than I thought, but it is very exciting. Thank you all for your contribution and your support. It was wonderful to do, guys. Yeah, it's my little public service update. Keep an eye out in the lobby. Hopefully we'll have the warm pans, warm parts, boxes collecting warm clothes for Boston homeless up and ready to go pretty soon. That way we can get it on. What?
and with that, I yield my time to Treasurer.
For all of you, in terms of with your committees, you should be reaching out or in contact with your committee chairs for the committees that you've been assigned to, just to see what work you can be doing, because you do have that office hours that you're supposed to be doing for that committee. Enforcing it, but we're going to be going through and checking, just because I've been hearing just from a couple of committees that they've been feeling a little overwhelmed and need a few extra hands. So I want to make sure the people that have been assigned to the committees are like reaching out and contacting and asking, what can you do? What events are coming up? Where do you need help? Just be on proactive about it rather than like waiting for an assignment.
And with that, I yield my time to Treasurer.
I do not have much to report. Starting next week, we will be passing out November zone passes. Just a reminder, zone passes are monthly. So if you have a zone pass, you will come pick up a new pass every month. So watch out for an email for that. Otherwise, we have approximately $200,000 in our bank account right now. We're still waiting for the MBTA to take out the payment for that. Otherwise, things are running smoothly regarding the Treasury Department. And with that, I yield my time to Chief Justice Davidson.
Okay. Don't have much to report either. I told you guys last GA meeting, we had just met with the Constitution and Bylaws Committee regarding some amendments to the Constitution. We're still in the process of drafting those amendments, but they should be ready for y'all to vote on by the next meeting. So that I yield my time to President.
That concludes officer reports. We'll move on to representative reports, starting with 3L representative.
Yeah, we have a time to do this.
Yeah, we have nothing for either by time. Everyone else.
We addressed it. Should I address it?
Yes.
Sure. Okay, so basically we were discussing how academic excellence could actually be super beneficial to all the students if it aligned with our actual curriculum for other classes. So what we were saying was that, or what students were telling us as well, was that we learned how to do IRACs and we were taught all these skills after our midterms ended. And if we actually got that session or we had that specific session before our midterms, it would have been much more beneficial, much more useful. By that time, we already knew what we were doing more or less. So that's just something to raise to see if they could just coordinate between academic excellence and our classes a bit better. I think that's it.
Yeah, thank you for that concern. We spoke earlier in the office, and essentially what I informed Stephanie is that is a very much reflective experience that we've all had with LRW, and changing the structure of curriculum classes usually is left up to the professors who are teaching those classrooms, but the recommendation can be passed on to administration and to the faculty committee, specifically probably the curriculum committee. And have the representative right here.
So we also spoke earlier, but I've already addressed the LRW issue with the curriculum committee. It is noted that it's been a consistent issue with students for years now, but the committee's scope, it's so narrow that it's hard to make, I guess, radical change like that. But we did just have a meeting and also voted on potentially amending LRW for your class and beyond, starting next year. But I don't know if that's 100% or not. And I can also bring up academic excellence as well.
Go ahead.
What's the LRW issue?
Oh, LRW, basically, we were talking about how extremely different LRW classes are depending on the professor, and how the grading is different, the approach is different, the materials, and even like what basically what are you graded? Yeah, the formats, everything is completely different. So we were talking about that as well, and we also discussed that this is the case with all our classes. So it's understandable that LRW will have different standards depending on the professor. But at the same time, I think one of the concerns that we want to raise is that it could be very harsh in grading in a certain way, because this class is very important and it's teaching us very important skills for our careers and for our future. But at the same time, it's been very condensed, very difficult to cope with. And at the same time, the grading for it is somewhat just unfair in a way, because simplest example, we have a closed memorandum of 40%, and some students were not given the proper materials to prepare that closed memorandum. And at the same time, they were only given one draft and no other chance to repeat it or to improve their mistakes. And they hadn't done enough work or received enough feedback to be able to do that closed memorandum properly. So we just think that it's either we should be more well prepared for the assignments, or that we should at least be given some sort of logical deadline and feedback session so that we could actually get the grade that we're supposed to get.
Noted. I share a lot of your concerns. I know that was a sentiment in our class, at least, with some people not feeling exactly 100% prepared to emerge into the legal field after our LRW experiences. So this is something I'll take to admin and get on them again about just organizing an academic excellence and make sure that the curriculum committee is on it, although their scope is pretty limited as well. So
About the LRW, something I guess you could also tell students is that we're the only area that has adjunct teachers that teach LRW versus actual professors. So that's where a lot of all the inconsistencies are. But I've made it my duty to continue to bring it up, because I've two levels and everyone else. It's a shared, but it hopefully is getting better for you all.
I just wanted to, for one else really quick, 'cause I actually spoke to Professor Noel about this last week and I asked her like, because I'm in legal analysis with her, I'm doing IRACs to prepare for exams with her. So I was asking her like, why am I doing pre-act in legal research and writing, but I'm doing IRACs everywhere in law school? Like I don't necessarily need pre-act. And what she told me is like, academic excellence, or like my version of legal analysis, is designed to help you take law school exams, and legal research and writing is just designed to help you write memos to clients or write like memos into office and stuff. So I guess it would make sense to be for academic excellence, like align with school and stuff and align with your classes. But I guess just thinking of legal research and writing, it's more like practice skills for when you're speaking to the client. Just a perspective.
Similar sentiment, coach teaches this as well. Law school exams are pre-act and the bar is all.
Just the last thing, I don't think that's necessarily our concern as well. And I can say this from personal. I love my professor. I feel very lucky, but other people in my section that talk about it, like they didn't get a single ounce of feedback before they had their first memorandum. And they literally went into a blind. Like they had absolutely no clue where they sat in class. They had no clue with their Harris assignment or exercise or the Ugly's Bride exercise or anything, how they were doing. And so they literally went in, could have done absolutely horrible, and then did their whole memorandum the same way that they were doing things prior and they got that great. Right?
That's how I did that. It sounds like probably my own personal LRW experience.
He just added to that in the section, it's not mine, I don't know the professor, but there's a professor in the D1 at LRW, she's canceled too, the LRW professor, hasn't replaced them, has just given students the code, and then students have no idea what's happening.
Or they have their
Yeah, so it's like, it's an actual concern because people are coming to school, some of us will be having a discussion with students, and they're like, you have something due, and we're like, you have to write a 12-page research paper, and they're like, what? Like, so it's pretty.
Another thing to add is that some of the LRW professors essentially like used to meet with the students outside of the class. And that's not been like my professor is essentially agreeing to meet with them and like have a lot of time. And even before the open memorandum, like she's like, yes, if you have questions, like concerns, whatever, like please reach out. But that is not the case with a lot of professors. Like some of my classmates, similar experience, like they don't know what to do. They don't have any like guidelines to how to format their paper. And this is 40% of our grade. Just some of us are just going in blind.
Well, I know for LRW specific, that was under Gary Bishop. He is kind of the facilitator for that program, in that all the classrooms are like if there's issues or concerns, he's the one that you go to. That has not exactly been the most fruitful of resources in terms of getting change for these consistent problems that you're saying, like literally the horror stories that you're saying. I'm like, I can list 5 more for everyone that you're listing. So I like 100% believe you. I know that this is an issue, and we're going to continue to pass it along.
Yeah, I have to close this out. Professor Bishop is super nice, super helpful. If you have him as a professor, he's not a hard person. So go to him. For the policy. Yeah, just the best. He's the best.
Any other questions?
Well, it's not a question, but to kind of address, not go off everybody's come to. Professor Bishop, maybe part of the problem is that he facilitates all the LRW, but he's also a professor on top of that. So if an idea that can be brought to the schools that they just have one professor that handles LRW. Like I know the writing specialist, Stacey Solera, she was my LRW for my 1L year. Fantastic. Met with us, graded on time. Maybe that's why she has. Now, I don't know if that was the case during our 1L year, but I do think she's fantastic. So we want to reach out to her as well. But you know, if she were like the overall supervisor of the LRW, that would be a lot more.
I think that's specific. I asked that we have like a designated professor in charge of the program.
Bishop is also doing a lot of classes, so it just feels like he has way too much on his plate, and that's why attention to the problems that are being, that are present. And that's been the case.
I'll add that because the other ask is gonna be, that instead of adjuncts, like we understand where the sentiment comes from and having adjuncts who are having real life work experience and they can show up students, but it causes that like other issues on the other side of it, that are getting in the way of people's actual, the effectiveness of the class. And those concerns are definitely worth looking at an administrative standpoint because it's been a consistent issue. This is something the school needs to take a look at.
On that note,
That concludes on our reports. I don't believe there is an evening representative present, so we're gonna table evening representative report for this week, and move on to old business, which there is some. So we're gonna move on to new business, and that is the probationary status of the probationary boards. There are two who applied for probationary status last time and were granted a probationary status that are here to get permanent status. I will present the order to you because again, you're state vice president at class. So, first up is the Federal Bar Association. Anything last time probationary status that we have that here to say. Just briefly about that. The organization, just a quick caveat though, there is gonna be some changes made to the constitution. There was a bit of the last minute things that needs to be tweaked because the current constitution as submitted can't be approved. And that it would be, the format of the org would be like another student bar association. We don't have the authority to do that. It would just be the student organization. So we're not gonna be voted, like we're not gonna be for the table to matter for tonight, but we still want to extend the opportunity for Matt to present about his work so that next week when they do come next time, when Federal Bar Association comes back, there's not the need for the question during the pushback. They can just be voted on and pushed through. So Matthew.
So, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me back. I don't remember me from 2 weeks ago. I know it's not like when you're in person. Again, the reason that we are supervisor here at the school, and again, Matt Michelle is adjunct professor here, national president of the Street Bar Association, federally also this organization for this on the national. So just a quick recap on our objectives here before I get to them. You guys have. So what we're really trying to do is bring the Federal Bar Association and students here tonight. And by doing that, we'll bring in federal judges, bring in U.S. attorneys, or bring in Department of Justice, and also in-house recruiters, because we think these are all really valuable people the students can benefit from. And as I mentioned before, making connections at any level, especially at the federal level, goes a really long way. You never know if it's going to be a judge in the future, if it's counsel's going to be, who's going to be that attorney waiting for an interview. So any meaningful connections you can make through this is pretty substantial. So the students board here on campus, our goal is to connect with students in their interest and where do they see their career in 5 or 10 years. And through that, we'll be thinking of ideas and pitching them to Michelle, just manage all of these resources at and actions at the national Federal Bar Association. Bring them to us so we really don't have to go anywhere. Bring them help the students get to wherever they want to themselves. And lastly, although our names sound similar in our constitution, look similar, we have no intention of overlapping with any of the student bar association. We're not strictly, independent, and what we really see is this being an ongoing mutual relationship with the National Federal Bar Association. We are a pilot program, so this will be some national recognition for the students in the school, and it's a strong use for all of their resources, delivery at just for the students.
There's another question that was one from out that Article 2, section.
Right in.
Typo, there was a G at the end of the word then,
Okay.
just in case you didn't. catch it when you went back. Yeah.
I had a question, just about some of the work that you've done in the meantime since the last time you were here before. How have you been able to like start acclimating yourself into student life? Have you been able to reach out to students and then?
We just got our whole board together, so we're set on that. We have started reaching out to students. Michelle has already started contacting you guys who wants to come and speak. And we are in touch with the affairs committee and hoping to get something on the books for the end of November. It's Show like, hey, this is who we are type thing.
All right, any other questions? Well, just officially, a motion to table this, the matter of the Federal Bar Association bill until next week when we have the official constitution. Next meeting, before we have official constitution, for submission for vote.
Second.
Thank you, Matt, and so much for coming. So we're excited about the working constitution bill, and we look forward to having you back and we're figure.
Yes.
So with that, we're going to move to the next organization. Which one can it be? The New England Latter-day Saints. So representative on.
Oh, no.
That presents a huge problem.
Have a proper number.
Okay. So, hold on.
She said we'll be the list.
Jamie, can you talk if you can hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, hang on just a second. We can't hear you, so give us a second.
Yeah, I wasn't looking at who's trying to use the microphone.
Is it with the panel itself?
I'm opening this. Well, I have a projector in school.
We're gonna have you speak through another.
Oh. I'm gonna mute it for now.
So, I'm gonna go ahead and mute the SBA exec board so that we can speak in here through the other laptop.
All right. Can someone speak so we can hear? Like, well, actually, don't need to turn them up also.
I don't think you unmuted yourself.
No, I'm unmuted. Jamie, you have the floor if you want to speak.
Okay.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
yes.
Great. So we're back. Hopefully all of you have had a chance to read through our revised constitution and bylaws. In the meantime, we were able to, actually before that, I just want to say thank you. I appreciated the feedback that each of you provided and the questions that you had. It helped me to kind of think through how can I make this more clear and just straightforward. And so I really appreciated the things that your comments and notes from last time. So in the meantime, we held kind of our first welcome meeting and we elected officers. You actually have our evening liaison in person with you. His name is Tyler Kerr and he's right, I can see him right there. So, and we also have Maddie Chadwick on with us, who is our treasurer. And then we had elected a secretary of like communications and public relations. and also a vice president. So really, we decided to change the name to New England LDS just for clarity, straightforward, like easily identifiable. And it's really hopefully just clear and straightforward with the wording. It's about support and connection for students on campus. So is there anything else, Tyler or Maddie, that you would like to share or add?
Yeah, I'll just add there is a pretty big, already in Boston at all the other law schools, a pretty large presence already of a J. Reuben Clark / LDS Law Society. So we just really wanted to get here started at New England as well, so we could kind of get in with that network all over Boston as well. And Jamie has some great ideas of networking through a lot of other undergrads, since this is like a pretty big nationwide society, also getting more students out here to New England kind of through this venue as well. So we're just excited to get it established here at New England Law as well.
I didn't have any idea. Just reiterating what they had to say.
Did you hear him?
Not really.
Oh, he was saying that he didn't really have anything to say.
Yeah, I just got it before.
He didn't have anything else to add.
Great.
Do you guys want to like unmute again? I'll mute.
Motion to vote.
Second.
All those in favor of voting for recognition for the next raise your hand. Please lower them. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the vote passed, vote of 17 to 0 to 1. Oh, she can't. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, she can hear you.
Oh,
I just can't hear her.
Congratulations to the New England Law Latter-day Saint. We're very excited to have you here at Netball, and we're looking forward to all the things that you do on our campus going forward. The DVP will be in contact with you soon about just offering any support that you may need as a new ward. You can now apply for supplemental funding, so that's exciting. And yes. With that concludes, I believe, our new business. And we now move to public comment. Anyone have a public comment? No public comment? Motion to close this meeting. Adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Everyone always looks so excited. This was the meeting we had all year. It is 8:44.
Yeah.
Hey,
sorry.
Last week you didn't say you needed to need somewhere now, but I was just figuring out.